Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayatiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shlokir Bhaktir Bhavatir Naishtiki. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, verse 33. Kachit Shivam Devakabhoj Putriya Vishnu Prajaya Iva Deva Matu Yavai Swagarbhena Dadara Devam Trayathaya Kyavithanam Artham. Kachit, whether. Shivam, everything well. Devaka Bhoja Putriya, of the daughter of King Devaka Bhoja, Vishnu Prajaya, of she who gave birth to the personality of Godhead, Eva, like that of Deva Matu, of the mother of the demigods, Aditi. Yeah, one who, yeah, right, indeed, Swagarbhena, by her own womb, Dadara, conceived, Devam, the Supreme Lord, Trayi, the Vedas, Yatha, as much as, Yagya Vithanam, of spreading sacrifice, Artham, purpose. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As the Vedas are the reservoir of sacrificial purposes, so the daughter of King Devaka Bhoja conceived the Supreme Personality of Godhead in her womb, as did the mother of the demigods. Is she, Devaki, doing well? Purport. The Vedas are full of transcendental knowledge and spiritual values, and thus Devaki, the mother of Lord Krishna, conceived the Lord in her womb as the personified meaning of the Vedas. There is no difference between the Vedas and the Lord. The Vedas aim at the understanding of the Lord, and the Lord is the Vedas personified. Devaki is compared to the meaningful Vedas, and the Lord to their purpose personified. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnanam Janashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuddha Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamritamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hari Bol, everyone. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak Srimad Bhagavatam with all of you. I've been really loving hearing from everyone, and I've been just really loving how we're all coming together even during this pandemic time to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, and I was really missing talking about Krishna Katha for all of you. So I'm so grateful to Madhavati Prabhuji for giving me this opportunity. I request for all of your blessings, and if I commit any offenses, I'm very sorry. Hare Krishna. So, in this verse, Vidura is inquiring from Uddhava, how is Devaki? And so he has asked about so many different personalities up to this point, and now he's asking about Devaki. So, I wanted to bring up a point that Deepyan Prabhuji made just 2 days ago. He made this beautiful point about how Vidura Mahajan is setting us the example of what it means to do devotee care, right? We often talk about taking care of the devotees and devotee care becoming a very important topic because we want to protect the devotees from Maya, and we also want to protect the devotees in their spiritual progress. But what exactly is devotee care? And so Vidura Mahajan is setting for us the pinnacle example of what it means to do devotee care. He has asked so many verses, and he will continue to ask for so many verses about the well-being of so many Vaishnavas and so many personalities related to Krishna. I was just reflecting on this. I went to temple just a few days ago, and I saw our dear Dinabandhu Prabhuji there. And Dinabandhu Prabhuji has this beautiful habit of going up to each and every devotee and asking, Hare Krishna Mataji, how are you? How is Prabhuji? Are you doing well? Is there any sickness? How is your family? And I was just reflecting that is true Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. That is true service to Bhagavatam. When we apply whatever we read to our daily lives, we read that Vidura Mahajan was such a caring personality, asking about the well-being of so many devotees, simply from Uddhava, then we can also go, Hare Krishna Mataji, how are you? How is Prabhuji? And do our small little part in ensuring that devotees get taken care of. Because I heard this beautiful analogy from Rampuru Mataji, who's a Prabhupada disciple. She said that we as ISKCON members are like Prabhupada's body. So when we care for each other, we're caring for Prabhupada's body. And I thought that was such a beautiful point. And I wanted to bring that up. So a very important question is asked, why Devaki? Why is Vidura asking about Devaki? And we see from her life, she has gone through so many trials, trial after trial after trial. She's almost killed by her own brother on the day of her marriage. She starts her grihastha life in a prison. All of her 6 children are murderously killed by her own brother in front of her. And so, when we put ourselves in the perspective of Devaki, we understand how much suffering she went through. And so, in that nature, Vidura is asking, now that Kamsa is dead and Krishna has freed her from the clutches of Kamsa, she must be happy now. Is she doing well? Is Devaka Bhoja Putriya doing well? And I know that I also once had a question when I was very young and a little immature. How can Krishna let his own mother Devaki go through so much suffering and Yashoda Mai go through not so much suffering? Like when I was little, I had this question: Why did Krishna let his own mother go through so much suffering? And the answer, after so many experiences with pure devotees in my own life, and reading more and more from Srimad Bhagavatam, I've had this realization that the trials of pure devotees are not like the suffering of ordinary living beings. We see so many times, repeatedly in 2020, so many pure devotees going through so many struggles. But if we meditate on the character of those pure devotees, we realize that their suffering has so many reasons, also in our own lives. When we see their suffering, we realize how important Krishna is saying faith is for the development of spiritual progress. We see the lives of Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, Bhakti Chara Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, and so many, almost every single Vaishnava, great Vaishnava, that there are so many trials and hardships in their lives. But, just as Devaki Maharani's example, that suffering is meant to show ordinary living beings that how powerful Krishna consciousness and faith is, because it keeps you afloat in the Bhuvam Buddha, in the ocean of material existence. And that transcendental suffering is meant to elevate them to a higher transcendental position. And we see from that sacrifice of love, of devotion, of true faith, Devaki Maharani, she gives birth to Lord Krishna himself, the Janmadasya Yatha. She gives birth to the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. question may be raised. Who can give birth to Janmat Asya Yatha, from whom creation itself manifests? From the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. In Brahma Samhita is said, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabam Adurlabam Atma Bhakto Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So a certain word is there, Purana Purusham, Adi Purusham. Lord Krishna is the oldest of all living entities. Lord Krishna is the father of all living entities. Lord Krishna is the progenitor of all living entities. So how is it possible for Devaki to give birth to that supreme creator? How is that possible? That first living entity, how is that possible? So we understand from reading more and more in depth of Srimad Bhagavatam that Devaki's position was that of a servant. Her job was to reveal to the material world Lord Krishna from her womb. And we read that she has done this for three lifetimes. And that through so much austerity and penance, because she was qualified and being empowered by Lord Krishna, she was given the task to give birth to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. So many austerities were done, and through those austerities, Lord Krishna is born. Finally, we see that, so we can have an example of here, like Lord Krishna is the director, and Devaki is simply the actor. But Krishna is also director and the actor. He's coming from Devaki's womb in that respect. So, I have a few quiz questions for all of you. If you don't mind, you can also chat, or you can unmute yourself and tell me. There were 3 lifetimes where Devaki and Vasudev did penance and got the Supreme Personality of God Himself in their womb. What was the first one? Does anyone know the first one? The Vasudev was Sutapa and Devaki was... Does anyone have any idea? You can also write in the chat. I'll give you another hint. Their son was Prishni Garbha. So Devaki was
Prishni?
Devaki was Prishni. Yes. Thank you so much, Roji. Yes. So Sutapa and Prishni gave birth to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Prishni Garbha Himself. And Sutapa, with a beautiful meaning, is austerity. So then we can see that how important austerity is to developing Krishna consciousness. Then we see in their next life, Vasudeva was Kashyapa, and Devaki was Aditi, and their son was... Anyone have any idea? Vamandev. Thank you so much, Akhilesh Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Vamandev. And then in their third life, Devaki and Vasudev give birth to the full incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna Himself. Swayam Bhagavan. Krishna Sri Bhagavan Swayam. Okay. So, there is a beautiful metaphor here in this verse. There is a beautiful metaphor of Devaki being the Vedas personified, and Krishna being the purpose of those Vedas personified in this verse. So, how do we understand that? So, in the beginning of the 10th chapter, Bhagavad Gita 10.2, Krishna says, "Neither the host of the demigods nor the great sages know my origin or my opulences. For in every respect, I am the source of the demigods and the sages." So how can we understand our own origin? How do we understand who the true Father is. How do we understand that? And the Vedas give that specific knowledge. We can speculate for so many lifetimes, and we see science doing that in so many different ways. Science is like an asymptote, right? For anyone who likes math, there is a function 1 over x, and in that function, you can get as close to the x-axis as you can, but that function will never ever hit the x-axis. The same thing is true for science. We can come as close to the absolute truth by mental speculation and mental concoction and through our own power, but we can never ever hit that absolute truth. It will always be like the sun covered by the clouds. We cannot see without the sun. So in that way, all of our knowledge in science is not incorrect, but it is incomplete. Because without the sunlight of Lord Krishna himself, we can't even see anything. So it's important that we understand that only Krishna himself can reveal who he is to his devotees. And we see this in so many verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Visham Satatayuktana. Whoever loves me with pure devotion, to him I reveal myself in whatever way they come to me. In Brahma Samhita, Yam Kama Krodha Sahaja Pranayadi Bhiti Vatsalya Moha Guru Gaurava Sevya Bhave Sanchintya Tasya Suddhisham Tanuma Purite Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. No matter how someone approaches me, if he just approaches me, I will reciprocate in that way. So that is the beauty of Krishna's nature. But in order to fully understand Krishna, we need to go to Krishna himself. Who can reveal himself? Who can reveal God but God himself? And so in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Krishna makes that emphatic statement that he himself are the Vedas personified. Vedescha sarvam aham eva vedya vedanta krit veda vid eva jaham. From all the Vedas, only Krishna is to be known because he is the compiler of them and the knower of them. So here we see the purpose of the Vedas. The Vedas can give so much commentary about what exactly we are to do in life and our material activities, but the purpose of it is to understand Krishna. Because Krishna is the purpose personified to Lord Krishna, the Vedas. So we can see in that same nature, we can see that applied in Devaki, Devaki being the Vedas personified, and Krishna, only Krishna being produced through that, Krishna being revealed through that to the material world. So in that respect, we can also see that only through a pure devotee, someone who is empowered by Lord Krishna himself, like Devaki Maharani in this example, can Lord Sri Krishna be revealed to all of us. So in that aspect, we can also pray that we can also be such good devotees of Lord Krishna that whatever we are empowered to do, we can share with the world. Whatever Krishna has, because Krishna is in our heart, we can bring Krishna to other people. A beautiful example is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam of the moon and a lake. When the moon shines on the water of a lake, because the water is moving, the moonlight of the lake becomes a little wavy, we could say. It becomes a little disturbed. It's not that the moon itself is disturbed, but that our reflection of that moonlight becomes disturbed. So when we steady our minds in Krishna consciousness, when we make that water of our mind steady, then when Krishna's moonlight touches our heart, then there is a pure reflection to all living entities. And in that way, we can spread Krishna's love. And so here we see so many beautiful pictures of how the Vedas personified by these devotees are teaching different devotees. Here we see Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, Narada and Vyasadeva. Devahuti and Kapila. And so there are so many different examples of how disciplined succession of the Vedas is so important to understanding God. Otherwise, our knowledge is always very lazy. So we can all aspire to be devotees that bring Krishna consciousness truly to our lives in that respect. Okay. So I wanted to end with a beautiful prayer that describes the setting in which Sri Krishna appeared in the heart of Devaki. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 3, verses 7 through 8. So with all of your permission, I would like to sing this verse for all of your pleasure and for Krishna's pleasure. It goes, Mumachurmunayo deva sumanam simudanvitaha manda manda jaladhara jagarjuranusagaram nishite tama udbhute jayamane janardane devakyam devarupinyam vishnu sarvaguhashaya avirasityatha pratyayam dissinduriva pushkalaha devakyam devarupinyam vishnu sarvaguhashaya. Okay, let's go over the translation. The demigods and great saintly persons showered flowers in a joyous mood, and the clouds gathered in the sky and very mildly thundered, making sounds like those of ocean waves. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, who is situated in the core of everyone's heart, Vishnu Sarva Guhashaya, appeared from the heart of Devaki in the dense darkness of night, like the full moon rising on the eastern horizon, because Devaki was the same category of Sri Krishna. So there are so many beautiful things to understand from Devaki Maharani's character and how Lord Krishna is in everyone's heart, but only in a pure devotee's heart, in a devotee who has done the Cheto Darpana Marjana. Can the entire world can Krishna be revealed to the entire world? I really love this one metaphor that's used, like the full moon rising on the eastern horizon to dissipate the dense darkness of night. Tonight is actually a Purnima night. It's so beautiful how that worked out so well. But tonight is a Purnima night. Today will be the full moon rising. So we can pray in that nature that Lord Krishna, who is the full moon himself, rises in our own heart to dispel all the ignorance of our own heart, so that we can share, not just for our own benefit, but just so we can share Krishna and his love with the entire world. So I hope and pray that whatever I've done is in line with Shastra and that you all enjoyed it. I would like to ask all of you, because I know you guys are so nice to listen to me speak, but I know you all have some beautiful realizations and reflections and questions you'd like to discuss. So I would like to open up the floor